Hiya, and welcome back to my channel, which is all about me Mark on Escort with the Cosy YB motor in. I've done about 3,500 miles in it now since I built it a couple of months ago. Got it on the road 2 or 3 months ago. And I've got to be honest with you, I haven't stopped smiling. I've just had this shit-eating grin on my face. It's great to have it on the road. If you watch the last video, I got it on the dyno, where it made a really healthy 375 brake. The car weighs less than 1,000 kilos. It's plenty, and it can be a bit of a handful, to be honest, but it is great fun. It hasn't been all plain sailing. I've had a few trials and tribulations, a few snags, a few additions, a few upgrades and stuff like that. And so we're going to get into them in a minute. So a recent little addition has been this. Let me show you. So I've been to quite a few shows, and it gets a really good reception. People really like the car. They ask loads of questions about it. And a question that I wasn't expecting, but I get asked a lot, is, are you on social media? So yes, I am. Go into Facebook and type in Cosy Mark1 in the search box. That'll take you to my homepage where you can give us a like. Look for photos in the menu bar. Click on that. That'll take you to the photos page. Look for albums just there. Click on that. And then it'll take you here where all my photos are sorted into build stage albums, and each pic is captioned with an explanation of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. You can scroll through them at your leisure. And if you find them interesting, leave a comment on your favourite pics. So what have I been up to then? So the major thing, the bonnet's up, don't worry, nothing wrong with the motor. It comes back super strong from the dyno. So I'm really pleased with how that's running. But the day after I got it back, I pulled it out into my gully to give it a wash. And the clutch completely went. And I mean, the pedal went straight to the floor. So bollocks. So let's get into that. And I'll tell you about what I had to do. So this is the source of my problems. This is a hydraulic concentric clutch slave cylinder with the thrust bearing on it. Now normally on a Cosworth T5 box you've got a clutch arm which pivots on there and goes out through a hole here in this casing, and the arm moves backwards and forwards operating the thrust bearing in and out. But because of how high up it is on a T5 bell housing, it's right where the tunnel is on the Escort, and I'd have to make like a massive extension right into the passenger footwell. So obviously didn't want to do that. So I've gone for a hydraulic conversion. This bearing sits on the nose of the gearbox. It's fed by these pipes. And as you put fluid in the bottom, this is capped off. It just bleeds through this top one. It pushes this cylinder out of this housing, pushes the cylinder out, and this thrust face acts on the clutch. But the seal had gone and it had absolutely pissed fluid everywhere. So yeah, bell housing full of clutch fluid, which is brake fluid, all over me clutch, all over me flywheel, fucking right mess. Anyway, gearbox off, took it off, saw the problem straight away. I bought this from Turbo Sport, but I bought it like 3 or 4 years ago when I was, assembling the car, doing the dry build. Anyway, I rang them up. I told them what had happened. They said, how old is it? I said, well, I probably bought it off you 3 or 4 years ago, but I've literally only done 6 weeks driving in it, probably about 2,000 miles. And no problem, send it back and we'll sort it out. And they did exactly that. They've fitted a brand new cylinder, new piston, new thrust bearing, all new seals, and sent it back and haven't charged me a penny. So that's pretty good customer service, I reckon. Now, while I had the gearbox off, I had a few problems, a few things that were bothering me. One of it was the clutch action. With the hydraulic clutch, I was expecting a really nice light clutch, but that wasn't the case. And I know it's a paddle clutch and they are a bit grabby, but I literally had like an inch of travel to disengage the clutch. on my foot, and it was bloody stiff as well. So at the opposite end of the hydraulic system to a slave cylinder is a master cylinder, and that's one of these on the pedal box. Now, they recommended that I use dash 4 hose, which is this fatter hose here, and this is dash 3, which is what you'd normally use on brake lines, but they recommended use dash 4 hose all the way back to the master and use a 0.75 master cylinder. Now, that might be fine for a Sierra, but the pedal box ratio is different on an Escort. So I've changed the master cylinder to a 0.7, and I'm going to see how that goes. I've worked it out, and it should give me a lighter pedal with longer travel. So it should be a lot easier, especially in traffic. The other one of the other problems I had was gear shifting. The gearbox that I got came with the engine. The engine came with 3 gearboxes when I bought it off some bloke up north. He fed me a load of shit, told me the engine was great and everything else. The engine turned out not to be so great. He told me that the gearbox, he gave me 3 gearboxes, pointed out the best of them. So I sold the other 2, put the other one in, and I put it in on spec. I didn't test it. I just chucked it in the car and hope for the best. And it turned out, yeah, it wasn't the best. Shifting through the gears was very notchy and clunky. It had a bit of a whine to it. And so I didn't want to piss about. And while the gearbox had to come out of the car anyway to do the clutch slave cylinder, I thought I'll get the gearbox off to Barra Motorsport. They're not far from me, just up in Bromsgrove. And I'll get them to tear the gearbox down and give it a health check. And it's a good job I did, because all that shit was fucked. So they replaced all the bearings, all the seals, which is like normal service stuff. These are my synchros, which were bollocksed. My shift lever pads on the forks and bearings, roller pins. So they've replaced all of that. And 1,500 quid later, I've got my gearbox back, which has been rebuilt. I've got to hopefully label it no oil. I've got to stick some ATF in, which is what they recommend, and build it back up again. So with the car up in the air and waiting for the gearbox to come back from Barra Motorsport, I had the opportunity and some time on my hands to sort out a few of the little snags and little mods that I wanted to do. First one was around the fuel area. So after I'd filled the tank up to the brim, I was getting like a little puddle of fuel sitting here, and sometimes even some fuel here, and it was a couple of streaks down the bodywork, and I couldn't suss that out. So the filler neck is a Mocal item, which I modified. I don't know if you can see that one through the glass. There you go. Oh, yeah, so that's actually a bit of aluminium boost pipe that's welded to the Mocal filler neck. Obviously, it's got this Monza cap on for the old school look. It has got a seal, but obviously not much of a good one. And these are made by Newton. And at Rankton, I told them my problem that I was getting fuel was making it past this primary seal here, and it was collecting after I'd filled it up and took the car for a raz, and obviously fuel sloshing around. Now the tank is baffled and foam filled, so I was a bit confused. And straight away, I sent some pictures of the setup. Straight away, they figured out what I had. So they said, the problem is, Lee, the cap you got there has got a green insert in it, which means that the cap is vented. And I don't need a vented cap because my fuel tank is vented. So on both corners of the tank, I've got these double rollover valves which vent the fuel tank out to atmosphere, down through the boot floor and to outside. So any fuel that is drawn out of the tank by the fuel injection system, the air is replaced via these vent valves, and should the worst happen, the car roll over, those vent valves will shut off. So the tank's vented, so I don't need a vented cap. Instead, what I need is a cap with a red insert, which is non-vented, and that means that the fuel won't go past it. So that was an easy, if not cheap, fix. So I'm glad I did that. So yeah, 2 new fuel caps later, and that's that done. Right then, back to the clutch and gearbox. So this concentric slave cylinder has to be set, the thrust face of this bearing here has to be a certain distance behind the clutch. And it's important because if the thrust bearing is too far out and the cylinder pushes too hard, then you can fuck your clutch up basically. And if it's not far out enough, then it can drag. So this is threaded internally, and some of these conversions you adjust them with shims, but this one you just adjust it the length with the thread and then lock it up using these little grub screws. So to get the correct distance, what you do is you bolt your bell housing up to your engine with the flywheel on and the clutch on and everything, and it all torqued up. And then you measure the distance from this face to the fingers. So I did it with this bit of kit here. Okay, it was just an engineer's square. And I put it in until the tip of the ruler touches the clutch fingers. So I got that distance. So I'm going to make this up. So let's say that distance is 200. Okay. Let's say it's 200 mil from this face to the tip of the clutch cover, which is where this thrust bearing is going to touch. So then what you do is using the same measure, and this is the same face what the bell housing bolts up against. So you measure from that face 200 out, and that is where the thrust bearing should end up, minus the gap. Now the gap is typically 3 to 4 mil. On this one they say wind it out and then till it touches, and then wind it back 3 full turns, which actually works out about 4.5 mil, so it's much the same. So whatever that gap is between this face and the clutch fingers, you need the same distance here to the front of the thrust bearing minus your 3 or 4 mil. So that's what I'll do. I'll set the clutch up and put it in. Oh yeah, this is an old bit of front of a prop, and when I'll put it on these axle stands so I can get it absolutely level, because it's a lot easier to fill the oil up outside the car than it is on the car. My drain plug's there and my fill level is there, so I'll fill it up until it just comes out the bottom. So I can, I've got the gearbox nice and level on these axle stands, and I'll fill it full of ATF. And then to stop it pissing out the back, I use this old prop nose and put it in there. I'll lubricate it first so I don't damage the seal. And that'll stop any gear oil leaking out while I throw it under the car and get it back in. And hopefully I should be back on the road. I should have a thrust bearing that doesn't piss out everywhere. And thanks to that new master cylinder, I should have a nicer clutch action. And thanks to all the synchro changes and the bearings done by Barra Motorsport, I should have a nice sweet gearbox. So I'm going to put the camera down. I'm going to crack on with that. So gearbox is back in the car. I've took it out for a rip, done quite a few miles in it over the last few days, and the clutch action is so much better. Having changed that master cylinder from a 0.75 to a 0.70, and now, like before, it was like an on-off switch. It's a paddle clutch. I know they're going to be grabby, but you know they can take the torque, and there's plenty of life left in it. There's plenty of meat in it. It's a ceramic friction paddle, so fortunately the brake fluid or hydraulic clutch fluid didn't affect it. So absolutely fine to reuse once I give it a good clean. But before, with the old master cylinder, it was like on, off, and it was really real struggle, especially on like hill starts and stuff, and trying to just a smooth takeoff. It's all right if you just want to fuck off, and you're drag racing someone, but in traffic at junctions and stuff, it was a real pain in the arse, and it was really heavy on the leg as well. But now it's the clutch sort of starts there, and I've got quite a bit of travel until it's fully disengaged, and then the same on the back up again. So it just makes the clutch uptake much smoother, and the action's lighter as well. So that was a win. I was chuffed with that. The gearbox now, it slips through the gears really nice. There's definitely an improvement there. So, and that was mainly due to the synchro rings being absolutely battered. So, yeah, bit of a pain in the arse. It exposed a few weaknesses, but the good thing is that they're all sorted now. So, we're going to get these snags, aren't we? And at the same time as fixing them, if I can make an improvement, I will. Talking of improvements, I made a couple more in here in the cabin. So when I was building the car, the fag lighter, this is the one that I bought, and I didn't realise. I thought it lit up white, but it doesn't. It actually lights up blue when you put the side lights on. And inside, it's a really nice place to be because of all the trim and the leather and the suede and the chrome and stuff. It is a really nice place to be, so I'm really chuffed with it. But a couple of things jarred really, and that was the ring around the fag lighter. I know they're only silly little details, but details do count, and they all add up. That was bugging me. And also my USB charger, which was this one, that lit up fucking blue. All the rest of the dash lights up red, which is how I designed it, how I ordered it. And but yeah, that lit up blue. And also, this is quite an old bit of kit. It takes forever to charge your phone up. It's almost useless. I think it chucks out like half an amp. So I needed to sack that off and replace it. And so I fitted the replacements. What I'll do, because you're not really going to see from there, I'll dim the lights and show you the difference it's made inside. So here we are inside, and I've removed the steering wheel, just pop that off. It's on a quick release thing, so we can see better. So if I key on and turn my side lights on, okay, that's my low fuel pressure warning light. Obviously that will go off when I fire the engine up, as well my ignition lamp and my oil pressure light down there. So the gauges are backlit in white with red needles, and the same with these auxiliary gauges, backlit in white with red needles, and the red theme carries on down here now. So my stereos are all lit up in red. My cigarette lighter, the illumination's in red, and if I pop it out, there's a nice warm glow in there. And also my USB charger is now a quick charger, so it charges at 6 or 7 amps and full speed basically, and that works really well, and it's all nice and matching, and it satisfies my OCD because I'm a bit like that. So yeah, job done. Okay then, so the YouTube algorithms are telling me that my videos are too long, and to keep engagement up I need to shorten them. So I'm going to chop this one here. I'm going to try to keep videos in future to like 15-20 minute mark. I've got plenty of footage that I've been taking recently since I got the car back from the dyno. There's been a few things I needed to sort out, a few additions. So they'll be the subject of later videos. So subscribe if you make sure you don't want to miss them. Give us a like, and even better, let us know what you think in the comments. I really love reading your comments and responding to them, and I'll see you soon.